Well, the nation's 250th celebration is nearing, and preparations for local festivities are nearly done. Aaron Stuvey has a historical look at the area's 4th of July celebrations to learn what's different than today and what stories have left 2.5 centuries.
The nation's 250th birthday is nearly here, and communities everywhere will be showing their colors. St. Peter's annual parade has run for more than 50 years, and Cambria has done their annual parade and cake auction for more than 150. Mankato's annual festivities are a bit more low-key, with only the fireworks show, though there used to be many more events. The Blue Earth County Historical Society has records of July 4th celebrations starting in the 1880s that included a parade down Front Street and historical pageants.
Some very similar, some a little bit different, but it's going to be a lot of family celebrations, picnics, celebrating that we're another year for the country. So a lot of family gatherings for those.
The Historical Society can't be sure when exactly Mankato's large-scale celebrations ended or why, but they are sure of some Independence Day stories that will last forever.
In 1909, there used to be a cannon in Lincoln Park, and 4th of July, 1909, a couple boys just after midnight decided they wanted to shoot it off. And it wasn't until morning that they discovered that this is what had happened, but it blew out several of the windows in the neighborhood. But
showing that warnings to celebrate responsibly are nothing new. Aaron Stuvey, KUIC News Now.